Let's go back to our top story tonight. 5 years ago, the story of Miche Solomon made headlines when it was revealed she was stolen as a baby. Well, having made her identity public, Miche, better known as Zephany Nurse, is now speaking out through the release of her book titled Zephany. She and her family's ordeal, her and her family's ordeal is something that many people face. Many such stories actually go unnoticed. Well, to discuss how people deal with a sensitive matter such as this one, I'm joined this evening by the president of the Pan-African Psychology Union, Professor Saths Cooper. Saths, good evening, and thanks very much for your time. You are aware of the story. You've watched the interview with Zephany Nurse. What's your impression? She seems like she has moved on. She seems like she's prepared for the future. In your expert opinion, is that the case? Do you see that?
No, I think she's got a long way to go. I think that it's good that she's come out and done certain things. But she's an extremely vulnerable young woman. And I think in a weird way, the book and the publicity, starting with that interview with eNCA Claassen, is going to draw fire from a lot of people out there.
So she should be prepared for a bit of a backlash, is what you're saying?
Prepared for all of that. I think also that she needs serious support. She needs serious psychological intervention and support. I don't know what she's been getting in these last 5 years, but what I saw and heard leaves me with serious question marks about her ability to cope with the serious trauma that she suffered. Very few people in the world, let alone our little country, have experienced what she has experienced. She knew only these parents that brought her up. And then when she's 17 in high school, the massive trauma, the publicity, introduced to biological parents who were strangers to her. And there's serious other consequences around that. And I wouldn't like to venture into those areas. My urging is that whoever is close to her, give her the necessary protection and give her the necessary support.
And just dealing with, you know, the person who did steal her as a baby, she has so much love for this woman. There doesn't seem to be any hatred. She says she has no connection to her biological parents. Do you think, in your experience, could she wake up one morning and everything's just going to come, it's going to hit her from a different angle?
Well, she did say that the question of why was not answered by her mother.
And it's a big question.
It's a big question. And that is an unresolved issue. Her father, the others in that setting, relatives and friends who probably knew to some extent that this was not the birth child, there are question marks, and it's going to hit her. I'm struck by certain consequences. I'm struck by the fact that she's already had 2 children.
At the age of 22.
Yes, and I'm struck by other physical and psychological symptoms, which I think it's unfair to go into on air in this kind of way.
She, like you say, she is a mom of 2. Do you see something like this? I mean, she seems to be very close to her kids. She seems she got so emotional talking about her own kids, more than talking about her own experience. You can see that's where the emotion comes in that interview at least. Do you see something like this affecting her ability as a mom going forward?
I think she's going to be ultra careful. I think that in itself could pose a problem, but I think given the strength that she's shown, not the full strengths that I think some of us would like, she's going to be very caring and very watchful and loving.
Perhaps very
clearly she got the love. She's totally alienated from her biological parents and everything else that goes with that. But, you know, in psychology and in, there's the various syndromes. There's the Stockholm syndrome, for instance, where you tend to identify with your kidnapper, you know, and that clearly comes out to an extent, but she had the love, you see. So how that pans out and how her mother is going to respond to the situation, I think will reveal the denouement of the story.
The mother who kidnapped her?
Yes.
Okay, yes, and I think that's the big question, is the why and what we need to hear. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. This session has been a very short one, but as you need, I think, days, weeks, months to get through to this one.
She's going to need all the support she can get, and she's going to need us to bear with her.
Yeah, and not criticize,
not
I
judge.
suppose, and not judge her at this time. Thank you very much, Professor Saths Cooper, for that insight. Zephany Nurse, it is certainly a web of emotions there, and I wish her all the luck going forward.